Welcome to the fifth and the final episode of the podcast, How Universities Can Help to Tackle Urban Challenges, Learnings from Ghent. In this series, we've been exploring the many ways in which cities and their universities can collaborate, and we're especially focusing on community-based research and learning, and also what makes Ghent so good at it. I'm Sara, I'm your host, and through this series of podcasts, we've heard many great examples of engaged learning in Ghent. And today I'm with Willem van Winden and Andy Dean to discuss the main takeaways and also to hear about how this approach can be further developed. We will have this conversation online, so this episode may sound a bit different than the previous ones. Welcome, Willem and Andy, in our podcast. Willem, my first question is for you. What are some of the key lessons from the Ghent experiences?
Yeah, actually there were quite a lot of key lessons. One of the things that all the participants noted was how good Ghent really is already in the collaboration between the city and the university. Not only the University of Ghent, but also the Universities of Applied Sciences. We have seen a lot of great examples how city and university really closely work together to address a lot of challenges. For example, in the field of mobility or sustainability or poverty in some poorer neighborhoods where students are reaching out. So the lesson there was that both the city and the university are investing in this. They want to do good things, they want to collaborate and solve these societal issues together. Another lesson is that this does not come automatically. You have to work hard to make that happen because it's not so easy, and you ask a lot from the teachers, from the professors to go in the city with their students and to work on the real problems that are around there. And we found that it often comes down to people. So some people who are really, let's say, enthusiastic to do this and to work hard on it. And one of the lessons or maybe challenges is also how do you empower such people and make it possible for them to do this? Because a lot of professors and teachers are already quite stretched. And they have to do already a lot, and this comes on top of it. So it's a lot of extra work for them. It comes with a lot of rewards as well. But and I think also what we learned was that this kind of working, that you don't stay in the classroom, but you go outside in the city and you look for challenges and problems there. This is the future of education and also of research. So, and therefore, we were really inspired by how Ghent is doing this in many ways.
Yeah. So what needs to be done to improve further?
Well, there's already a lot of good things happening, but you would actually need to professionalize this further, because now you can see often it's the same people who do this kind of innovative education and research. And it's not like mainstream, and so you ask a lot of time from these people, and they should be more empowered, and it should be maybe become more normal for them to do it. And that also means that the city and the university must allocate resources and must maybe make some money available to make that happen. I think that could improve. And another thing is we have seen a lot of potential risks or pitfalls when you do this, because it is not so easy to go in the city and to work with, for example, poor neighborhoods or in disadvantaged areas, because people they expect a lot when you come in, and you cannot promise them to solve all the problems, of course. So it's all about, and I think Katrien van Poek made that clear in her speech. You need to know what are also the limits to how far can we go and so on. And I think in this conference we made a very good start in thinking about that and discussing it. But in my idea, cities should go further in thinking hard about which kind of projects would be suitable for students to participate, and which one maybe less so. Where can they learn a lot, or where is it too vulnerable? So that's an issue. And another thing where you can improve perhaps is that there is a risk that people from the city government, they think that the university can solve the problems in the city. But I think this is an illusion. This is also not the role of the university. So you need perhaps even more clarity about who has what role in this kind of projects. And there, I think it's a pioneering work, and more and more cities are doing this. But we need really to put effort in professionalizing it and knowing more exactly how to do this properly.
Andy, you're currently running the network's secretariat. What are your takeaways from the meeting in Ghent and from what we've heard from the presenters interviewed in this podcast series?
I think firstly, though, the quality of the work that's being undertaken in Ghent is really exceptional. The examples that we've seen, and I had the great pleasure of going on of attending the recent meeting in Ghent and going on the tour of the campus in the neighbourhood with its kind of association with the water complex there. They're really illuminating. They're fantastic examples of work. I think it's important to point out that what we're trying to do here is not easy. When we consider how we are set up historically as organisations and all of the things that influence us and pay us, so your policy funding, who you report to in Whitehall or wherever your government is based, these are things that tend to be in silos, and they get in the way of kind of collaborative opportunities but across organisations that are funded and supported in very different ways. So this really isn't very easy, and working across those silos is a huge challenge. And it tends to sometimes produce kind of very project-based activities which don't have long-term sustainability built into them. And to do that, it takes a lot of commitment from strategic leaders. There are really, as Willem kind of explained, there's real risks if we fail. So it's fair enough if a university project doesn't quite succeed in what it's trying to do. But if you're working with community groups, then going in, working with them, failing and walking away is just disastrous. I mean, you can't behave. And I think Willem wants to did you want to come back on that, Willem?
Yeah, no, I was thinking what you say, that a key challenge is also to bring the right people together. And I think this what we saw in Ghent, for example, in the Common program, where you formulate a challenge. For example, in Ghent it was, how can we make the city accessible for everyone? Or another one was like, how can we make the medical system more accessible also for people who don't speak the local language or Dutch? And then bringing students together and teachers, but also companies who work on that. This is really not so easy, and exactly because what you are saying, Andy, it's because we are still in our own organizations, we are in silos, and it's really not easy to come together around such big themes and then organize all types of businesses and organizations, have them on the same page. And this requires a lot of effort and resources and money. So this is really a challenge, but it needs to be done.
Yeah, yeah. If you're going to be successful, you can't have a what you would say a piecemeal approach. You need to have the kind of the very strategic senior level buy-in, and then once you have that, people who are going to be operationally responsible have to meet regularly, and they have to believe in it, and they have to work in that kind of way. And both are actually barriers to sustainability. Quite often you'll get senior level people who don't necessarily buy into the whole idea, and then you can't push forward with it. And at the same way, if your vice chancellor and your mayor agree that they're going to work in that way, but actually the people on the ground decide that it's too much of a hassle and it's too complicated, and actually why can't they just carry on working in the same way that they have, then again that's a potential risk of failure. I mean, with each city, I mean, each of the countries that we go to, the cities that we see, they're all starting from different places with kind of unique universities, unique city backgrounds. So, and we've learnt a great deal from Ghent. But one of the lessons actually is that you can't just copy what's happening there.
Okay.
So you can't just go and look at De Crook and say, well, that's good, let's build one in Exeter. I would love to. There are quite a lot of barriers, I guess.
Yeah, it seems that what both of you are highlighting is that this type of approach is clearly showing great benefits, but systemic changes are necessary. Can I formulate it like that? To make it a more widespread and common practice.
Yes,
You
I
agree?
agree. And although the word systemic
Yeah.
then suggests that you are again sort of institutionalize it, whereas for me also the charm is that it is not so, it's more fluid. It is, you cannot plan everything. You cannot say, oh, now from now on we're going to do it like this, like an educational program, because it's changing all the time. And there, yeah, you need to be ready for such a volatile environment.
Yeah, it seems like you both had a great network meeting in Ghent. But Andy, can you maybe say a few words about the upcoming activities of the EUniverCities Network?
Yeah, I'd love to. The next meeting coming up is actually in Strasbourg. The topic is kind of the changing use of libraries, which sounds extremely boring and dry until you realise actually that there are some awesome examples of libraries around Europe which are doing all kinds of interesting activities. De Crook is one obvious one in the Ghent to mention, but there's fantastic examples in Aarhus, in Helsinki and other cities too. And one of the things you notice about libraries is that their relationship with students is often very, very strong. And most cities' libraries are home to an awful lot of students who are studying, for example. So there's lots of overlap, and we're interested in looking at what's going to happen on that. I mean, as a network, we're always eager to welcome new members. We are a network which specialises in small and medium cities and their universities. So it's very difficult for most cities to learn from great practice in Barcelona or Madrid or Manchester or some large city. You just can't really spread it if there's only 100,000 people in your city. So we share things which are practical and which we can be done in the right kind of city side. So membership requires both a university and a city to join.
This is the final episode of the podcast series. Are there any final thoughts?
I think if this is striking a chord with you, then have a little look at the website, have a look at the things that we do. Do get in contact with us at the secretariat if there's information that you're interested in. It's kind of part of our role, so we'd be more than happy to respond. And if you see one of the themes coming up and you just want to talk about it, then we're more than happy to do that.
All right. Willem, is there something you want to add?
Yeah, maybe that the network is focusing on any possible topic where city and university can collaborate. And there are many such topics, and it can go from student housing to culture to urban planning, mobility. All these issues are student retention. You cannot solve this alone as a city or as a university. And we are happy to receive, to have new members. We don't cover all the member states of the EU yet. So we are open to new members. So anyone who is listening and who thinks like, oh, this could be an interesting network for our city or our university, just contact us and send us an email. And like Andy said, just come to our meeting to see how it works and so on. More than welcome.
Okay, thank you once again, Willem and Andy, for joining us today.
You're welcome.
This final episode completes our podcast series, but if you want to find out more about the EUniverCities Network, you can go to the website, which is at www.EUnivercitiesNetwork.com, or you can follow us on X, LinkedIn, or Instagram. We'd really love to hear your comments and feedback on this podcast series. You can contact us via the EUniverCities website. Bye for now, and thanks again for listening to our podcast series.